Hi guys, this is Valerie, the Pumpkin Patch Quilter, and this is Eunice. If you've been reading my blog for a while, it's probably strange to hear my voice, and you also are familiar with Eunice, my new APQS, or new to me, APQS Ultimate 1 Long Arm. I'm going to try and make this short and sweet because I have the baby sleeping in the other room and I don't know how long I'm going to have. So I just wanted to share with you a few things that I've learned about long arming. Before I bought this, I really didn't know a whole lot other than what I had read and researched on my own. I visited a few friends, I tested a few, and then I went and bought one. Probably not the best idea, but I have been quilting for about 10 years. So I had the general idea. And I think I was ready. This is what was right for me. So anyhow, what I learned was, why do you need extra fabric all the way around your quilt? Why do you need 3 or 4? Why do long armers ask you for 3 or 4 inches of extra fabric? Well, I learned why you need that extra fabric. These clips right here are holding the backing fabric on. And they're not just holding it up, they're keeping all the wrinkles out of the back of your fabric. They're holding it taut, not too tight, and it's not going to stretch your fabric, but it's going to keep it so that you don't get wrinkles in the back of your fabric. And also what I learned is this is without any kind of ruler base or anything. If you can see, this is where the base of the long arm ends. So it's pretty big. You have like a nice chunk of space there, what, 3 or 4 inches from where the needle goes down to the edge of the machine. So I learned by banging into these clips, and my quilting edging was stopping about here, and that's quite a ways away from, you know, where my binding is going to go on. So that's why you need that extra fabric. I also learned, if you're into saving, because I'm a mom and I'm on a budget, and I just don't have the money to spend that some of the other ladies do. I wish I did. So I'm always trying to figure out how to save fabric. I also learned that a lot of ladies like to, and men, like to use this extra fabric for binding. So you don't have to waste all this extra fabric. You can use that, send plenty to your long armor so they can do a nice job and make your quilt beautiful. And then you have that extra fabric you can use for your binding. Make sure you let them know that that's what you want to do. The other thing I learned was, this is an older quilt. I made this maybe 5 years ago. I'm not sure. It's on my blog. I went on a quilt retreat with my mother, and this is what I made while I was there. It's a Eleanor Burns Disappearing Nine Patch. I used her template for this, and what I did, and someone called me on it too and said, "What are you doing?" I did not measure my borders. Well, at the time, I'd never thought I would send a quilt to a long arm. I never thought I would have one, and I thought, well, who cares? That doesn't matter. Well, it does. I learned why. If you can see how this, my nails need painted. Sorry. If you can see how this just doesn't lie really flat, and all these little puckers here. If I get close, you can kind of see this little ripple. Well, they go all the way down throughout my quilt. And as I keep it, rolling, I'm going to do the best I can I'm going to pin base this around the edges and do the best I can to keep it nice and straight and kind of work those ripples in. But they're not going anywhere. They're there. They're in the quilt. I'm going to do the best I can. I'm a new long armor. This is quilt number 3. So in addition to practice, this is only the 3rd quilt I've loaded and quilted. So I'm going to do my best to practice and get good at working that rippling in and making it look pretty without making a pleat. But it's not going anywhere. So measure your borders. I learned my lesson. I'm listening. You experienced quilters who say measure your borders. I'm listening now. I'm going to pay attention, and I'm going to measure my borders from now on. I had just laid down a strip of fabric, matched up the edge, and then snipped it off, and that is not the way to do it. Find your center, measure, through the center of your quilt, find out the exact, dimensions of your quilt, and then cut your borders apart. And if your hair off, if you're like a 1/16 of an inch or an 1/8 of an inch off, that you can work around. It's when you get up to 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch, that's when you get into trouble. But anyhow, measure your borders and send your long armor extra fabric for the backing. And I'll even show you if I can get a good shot without making you dizzy. No, I probably can't. No, I can't. But if I go peek under here, I can see that there's no ripples. I can see that it's nice and taut. It's not going to break my needle. It's not tight. It's not stretching my fabric, but there's no wrinkles in it. So that's what I've learned. And I'll share more with you as I learn more. And it was nice to talk to you guys, and hopefully it was kind of interesting to hear my voice. Talk to you later. Bye.